Hey, I'm Jan Wegener and welcome back to the Early Bird Photo News. We have some red hot news and upcoming announcements to unpack today, and I also have to make a little confession. So let's get right into it. Before we talk about cameras, I wanted to ask all of you a question. What's your favorite piece of gear that you don't own? For me, it's definitely the Nikon 600mm PF lens. It's just so light, small, easy to handle, and gives me razor sharp photos in the field. Do you have something similar? Is there one piece of gear that you don't own but think you should own or will own in the future? Let me know in those comments. It seems like in just a few hours, Canon will release their latest camera, the Canon C50, a video-centric camera with great features that might also give us some interesting details about the upcoming R6 Mark III. The C50 will be a direct competitor to Sony's FX camera lineup, and in particular the FX3. And it will come with a 32 megapixel full frame sensor, which I'm not sure whether it's stacked or not, but I think it's not stacked. Then we will have up to 7K RAW, 4K 120 frames per second uncropped, and 2K up to 240 frames per second, which is definitely amazing specs. On top of that, it seems like the camera will also have fantastic dynamic range and great image quality. The body will come with one SD and one CF Express Type B card slots, will have active cooling, many customizable buttons, will get a dual base ISO of 800 and 6400, and we will also get dual pixel autofocus in video mode. The most noticeable omissions from the camera are that it comes with no IBIS and no electronic viewfinder. So it's definitely a video first camera where you don't really need those two things because you usually shoot on a tripod or gimbal. And the name C50 also suggests that this camera is moving more in line with the rest of Canon cinema cameras. What I find quite interesting about the C50, and I think most of you will find very interesting as well, is that it comes with a new 32 megapixel full frame sensor that shoots in up to 40 frames per second in stills mode. Now that sounds quite interesting and familiar, doesn't it? Because I think there's a good likelihood that we will see this sensor or a version of this sensor also in the upcoming R6 Mark III. The current R6 Mark II gives us 24 megapixels and up to 40 frames per second. And the rumors have all been saying, and what I received last week as well, that the R6 Mark III will actually come with a 30 to sort of 33, 34 megapixel sensor. So the 32 megapixels and up to 40 frames per second would fit right in line with what we've been hearing about that camera, which I think would be very exciting. Would you agree? When it comes to the price, it seems like the C50 will cost around $4,200, $4,300 US. Alongside the C50, Canon will also announce two lenses, an RF 85mm f1.4 VCM lens, and then an 11 to 55mm very expensive, very heavy cinema zoom. A few days ago, I released a video I think most of you will find very interesting and you should check out after watching this one. I took a dark, dull and noisy image taken at ISO 25600 and turned it into this beautiful, bright and vibrant image within seconds. And all I did was to use 5 sliders and Camera Raw and Lightroom and a couple masks to get me there. And I also showed you a strange but very important and helpful trick that will allow you to get much cleaner and refined masks. And if you want me to show you more of these techniques and many more that will have a dramatic impact on the final look of your RAW images, I would recommend that you check out my Lightroom and Next Generation Photoshop Masterclasses. In these classes, I teach you step by step and in easy to follow chapters, my workflow that you can apply to all your RAW images and get fantastic results every single time, even from your most difficult to edit files. But of course, you won't just be watching because I'm also providing you with my own RAW files so you can edit right alongside me. And if you're not sure if my classes are worth it or the right fit for you, check out some of the amazing reviews that I receive on a daily basis from many happy students who I've helped to transform their editing lives, who now love image editing and get great results every time. I know image editing is something that many of you like to avoid or brush aside or think it's not necessary, but with the right workflow and the right tweaks, you can truly transform your RAW images, and even dull and boring files can suddenly turn out to be stunners. So if you're fed up with not knowing how to edit your images or how to get the best results from them, my masterclasses will be a great starting point to get you on your way, because I know they will help you a lot to develop that crucial workflow and get great results that will make you very happy. Let's talk a bit more about the R6 Mark III. Last week I shared some details and the timeline I got from my sources in regards to that camera, and I think most of that is accurate, especially when we look at the sensor that will be announced with the C50 as well. However, I think I was given the wrong timeline. I said the camera might be announced before September 15, but I'm not so sure anymore that that will happen. It seems like I was given specs for the R6 III with the timeline for the C50. So I went back to my sources and said, what's going on here? Do you know anything more about the R6 Mark III? And while they've seen some details about the camera, they're not entirely sure when it will be announced. However, they said it would be very likely that it's still going to happen within the next few weeks. I heard some more details, but I don't want to say too much at this stage because I got burned before. So for now, we should just assume that we will see the R6 Mark III still maybe in September or in October. And we have a good chance that will come with possibly the sensor from the C50. So all in all, it seems like the R6 Mark III is shaping up to be a fantastic camera with that sensor in the 30 megapixel range, maybe 30 to 40 frames a second, and fantastic image quality as well as great video features. So definitely camera I look forward to holding in my hands and making a review for all of you guys. Something that got lost in all the hype is an interesting article that Canon Rumors posted about the potentially upcoming Canon RF 300 to 600mm lens. Initially, we thought this lens would come out with a constant f5.6 aperture, but now it seems like Canon Rumors received new information where the lens actually will be f4 between 300 and 400mm, and then only go to f5.6 beyond 400mm, which I think makes this lens a lot more exciting and interesting. Constant f5.6 is nice, but being able to shoot wider on the shorter end is fantastic in low light situations and would be ideal, for instance, when I'm photographing the glossy black cockatoos coming in low light. f5.6 there would be good, but being at f4 or f2.8 is so much better. So having this lens even more flexible and with better low light performance would make it even more interesting to me than it already is. There's still no timeline or price on the lens, but it seems like Canon Rumors is pretty confident that it's not going to be too expensive and will also come out in the next little while, maybe even still this year. Speaking of lenses, Sony Alpha Rumors also posted a very interesting snippet about something they have received from one of their sources. Now, we can't know for sure if that's true, but it's kind of in line with what I've heard from my own sources as well. And they said that for the Olympics in 2026, the Winter Olympics, Canon is producing a new 2.8 400mm lens with a built-in 1.4 teleconverters that should have fantastic image quality. And if that lens will become available, I'm sure Canon would also make a 600mm lens also with a 1.4 teleconverter built in. Now that's definitely exciting news, and if true, I think this would be fantastic and should give us even better performance in the field. And of course, Sony Alpha Rumors is then also speculating that Sony might be doing something similar to their big prime lenses. We don't know at this stage, but I've definitely heard from my own sources as well that 2026 is the year where we will see some big new wide lenses. So it might be time already to save up, put some money aside, because none of these lenses will be cheap, but I'm sure their performance in the field would be amazing. I don't know if any of you guys ever use your camera as a webcam. I tried to do it and it was a very frustrating experience. Because I thought I had a Canon body, I need to use EOS Webcam Utility, and I tried to install it on my Mac, but it wouldn't work on my newer Mac because the software was too old for my new computer. And then I tried to install it on an old computer. There it worked, but apparently if you use the EOS Webcam Utility on a Mac, you can only shoot at 24 frames per second and 720p resolution, which is very low res. So I kind of had to abort that mission and go out and buy myself a HDMI capture card, which is a simple USB thing that you stick into your computer, plug in your HDMI cord from your camera, and you get super high res video without any problems, and my Mac instantly recognized it as a webcam. So if you ever want to use your camera as a webcam, I think one of these HDMI capture cards is probably the way to go and much easier to use than any of these manufacturer softwares. Interestingly, it seems like Nikon may also be releasing a video focus camera this week, the Nikon ZR, which would be a direct competitor to the C50 and the Sony FX3. And that camera apparently comes with a 24 megapixel partially stacked full frame sensor that we see in the Z6 III. It will also give us 6K video and great overall features. So it definitely seems like there's some heat coming to the video market, which has been very popular and so far been dominated by Sony. Unlike the C50, it seems like the ZR will actually come with IBIS. Besides that, Nikon has already just recently released a new silver version of their popular ZF Retro camera. If you're in the market for the camera, maybe you like it even more now that it's silver, or do you prefer it in black? Very interestingly, this week, the sales figures for the camera brands over the last few years also got released. And here we can see that Canon is still dominating the market with significantly selling more cameras than Nikon, Sony, and the rest of the competition. And most of that is actually mirrorless cameras, and DSLR camera sales have been going down continuously, which is no big surprise because the technology we have in the mirrorless cameras is just so far superior to DSLR cameras that, especially if you're looking for a new camera, it really doesn't make sense to buy a DSLR camera anymore, and it's much better to get a mirrorless camera because you get amazing things like the eye tracking autofocus. And lastly, I saw another crazy rumor on Sony Alpha Rumors that says that the a7 IV, which is Sony's next camera, might actually come with the same sensor that we can also find at the Nikon Z8 and Z9, which I personally think is a little bit crazy, and I'm not too sure if I would believe that, mainly because I think then that camera would move way too close to the Sony A1 Mark II that has a fast stack sensor with 50 megapixels. So the a7 IV having a fast stacked 45 megapixel sensor might not make total sense to me, even though it's possible. What do you guys think? Do you think the a7 IV will actually have a sensor that's also in the Z8 or Z9? Or do you think it will come with something maybe in the 30 megapixel range? For me, the most important thing really with the a7 IV is that it gets less rolling shutter and also shoots at much higher frames per second, because then I think it will become a much more reliable and good wildlife photography camera. And on that note, it's a great time to wrap up today's video. Please share down there in the comment section with me, what are your thoughts about the new releases? What are you most excited about? And what's your favorite piece of equipment that you don't own, amongst anything else that comes to mind? Also give me a thumbs up for the video, check out my channel membership and masterclasses, and of course, hit that subscribe button so we can grow our community, and I will see you in another video very soon. Bye!